What is up, my friends, and welcome back to the channel. It's your buddy here, and man, have we got a week to talk about. We're looking at the fishing forecast across the USA for the period of Monday, the 2nd of February, through Sunday, the 8th of February 2026. And let me tell you, this isn't your average, sleepy winter week. Mother Nature is about to throw us a real curveball. We're going to see some stable, chilly days that could produce some really nice fish, but a midweek shake-up with a weather system and a temperature drop is going to change the game completely. Why is this week so special? Because it's a test of your skills as an angler. It's about knowing how to adapt from one day to the next. And if you follow my advice, you'll be one of the few who's still getting bit when everyone else has packed it in. Stick with me, because I'm going to break down exactly where to find the fish, what to throw, and how to read these changing conditions to make this a week to remember. All right, friends, let's get down to business and talk tactics. In the dead of winter, we've got to be smart and targeted. I'm going to focus on two of the most popular species across the country, the mighty largemouth bass and the ever-tasty crappie. First up, let's talk largemouth bass. Right now, these fish are cold, sluggish, and not looking to waste energy. That means they've moved off the shallow flats and are holding in deeper, more stable water. Your mission is to find those key wintering spots. Think deep. I'm talking about main lake points that drop off sharply into a channel, steep bluff walls, or the ends of long underwater ridges. The key is access to deep water. Fish will sit in that deeper, more temperature-stable zone and then move up just a few feet to feed when the conditions are right. Another goldmine, especially in the southern states, are deep water docks. Look for docks near a channel swing or on a steep bank. The base will suspend underneath them, using them as cover and an ambush point. Now, how do we catch them? Slow. Everything you do needs to be slow. This is not the time for burning spinnerbaits. My number one recommendation is a suspending jerkbait. A Megabass Vision 110+1 is a killer. Cast it out, crank it down to its running depth, and then let it sit. Twitch it once, maybe twice, and then pause it for 10, 15, even 20 seconds. That long pause is when you'll get bit. The fish just can't stand seeing that easy meal hanging there. Another go-to is the Alabama rig. In states where it's legal, this is the ultimate baitfish school imitator. Rig it with some 3 to 4 inch swim baits and slow roll it right along those deep contour lines. You're not trying to get a reaction strike. You're trying to convince a lethargic base that a whole school of baitfish is just swimming by. Finally, never underestimate a football jig. A 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce jig in a natural color like green pumpkin or brown, dragged slowly across the bottom, is a classic for a reason. It mimics a crawfish perfectly, and you can work it methodically through those deep haunts. Remember, friends, the bites will be incredibly subtle. It might just feel like a little tick or mushy weight on your line, so pay close attention. Next, let's talk about crappie, or speckled perch as some folks call them. Winter is a fantastic time to catch a true slab if you know where to look. Just like bass, they school up tightly in the winter, so when you find one, you've often found 100. They get into big mega schools and will relate to specific structures. Your fish finder is your best friend here. You're looking for brush piles on main lake points, submerged timber in old creek channels, and deep water bridge pilings. Crappies suspend, so it's crucial to find the exact depth they're holding at. They might be 10 feet down over 30 feet of water. What do we use to catch them? Finesse is the name of the game. A very light action rod with a 4-pound test line is perfect. The best bait day in and day out is a simple 1/16 or 1/32 ounce jig head paired with a small 2-inch plastic tube or grub. Colors like chartreuse, white, or anything with a little sparkle can be effective. The key is to get that jig right into the school and hold it there. You want to impart very little action. A slow, steady lift or just letting it hang there is often all it takes. If the bite is especially tough, and it will be on those colder days, don't be afraid to tip that jig with a live minnow or a Berkeley crappie nibble. That little bit of scent and live action can make all the difference. With crappie, the bite is often just a slight thump, or you'll simply see your line start to move sideways. Precision and patience will fill the cooler. Now for the nerd out session, friends. Let's analyze the conditions, because this is what separates the pros from the Joes. First up, the weather. We're starting the week on Monday and Tuesday with cold but relatively stable high-pressure conditions across much of the country. Expect temperatures to be in the high 20s to low 30s in many areas. This stability, though cold, is actually good for fishing. The fish get acclimated, but then pay attention to Thursday. The forecast shows a system moving through, bringing a chance of precipitation, snow in the north, maybe some chilly rain in the south, and a drop in pressure. That prefrontal window on Wednesday afternoon and early Thursday could trigger a feeding binge, but after it passes, look out. Friday and Saturday will see a significant temperature drop as Arctic air is expected to push in. Temperatures will likely plummet into the teens. That post-frontal bluebird sky, high-pressure situation is notoriously tough. Finally, on Sunday, we'll start to see a slight warming trend, which should slowly get the fish moving again. Let's talk water temperature. In most of the country, we are in the heart of winter. This means water temps are going to be in the low 40s, and in some northern states with open water, even in the high 30s. In the deep south, you might see temps in the low 50s. At these temperatures, a fish's metabolism is incredibly slow. They aren't feeding aggressively, they're feeding opportunistically. They will hold in the most stable water they can find, which is usually deeper down in the water column. The key this week will be those few days of stable or slightly warming sun before the front hits. That sun can warm up south-facing rocky banks or riprap by 1 or 2 degrees, and that's all it takes to draw in bait fish and, consequently, the predators. And what about the moon? And this is a big factor for a lot of anglers. There was a full moon on Sunday, February 1st, and that means for our entire forecast period from the 2nd to the 8th, we will be in a waning gibbous phase. This is a very bright moon that will be visible for most of the night. Traditional fishing lore often suggests that the days immediately following a full moon can make for a tough daytime bite, with the theory being that fish fed heavily all night under the bright moonlight. While that's a popular belief, I've found the best fishing almost always corresponds with stable weather patterns, so use the moon phase as a secondary factor to consider. So what's the general activity level of the fish? In a word, sluggish. This is a time of energy conservation. Fish will not chase a bait very far. They are grouped up tightly, bass in loose wolf packs and crappie in massive schools. This means your approach has to be methodical. You're not covering water quickly. You're using your electronics to find these key deep water areas and then picking them apart slowly and deliberately. The windows of feeding activity will be short and often coincide with minor weather changes or the warmest part of the day, typically mid-afternoon. Don't expect an all-day bite. Expect to grind it out for a few key opportunities. All right, here's what you've been waiting for, friends. Let's break this week down day by day so you know exactly when to hit the water. On Monday, the 2nd of February, I'm rating the bite as fair. The weather will be cold but stable, with temperatures around 28 degrees. This high pressure after the full moon might make for a slow start, but the stability is key. Fish will be deep and lethargic, but willing to eat a bait that is presented slowly, right on their nose. Tuesday, the 3rd of February, the bite gets a little better, I'm calling it good. We have another day of stable, cold weather, with highs creeping into the low 30s. The fish will be more acclimated to the pressure. This is a prime day for that slow, deep jerkbait retrieve or patiently working a jig through a deep brush pile. Wednesday, the 4th of February, is looking like the best day of the week. I'm calling this one excellent. The barometer will begin to fall as the new weather system approaches. This is the prefrontal bite we all dream about in the winter. The fish will feel that pressure change and know it's time to feed up before the storm. Focus on those same deep structures, but expect the fish to be slightly more aggressive. Thursday, the 5th of February, will be a tricky day. The front is moving through, bringing clouds and a chance of precipitation, with a high around 35 degrees. There could be a good early morning bite right as the front arrives, but as the day progresses and the pressure fluctuates wildly, the bite could shut down. Be prepared to adapt. Friday, the 6th of February, is going to be tough, friends. I have to rate this as a weak bite. The front has passed, the skies will likely clear, and the temperatures will drop sharply into the high teens. This is a classic post-frontal, high-pressure scenario that often gives fish a case of lockjaw. The best bet is to target the mid-afternoon, hoping for a brief warming window. Saturday, the 7th of February, will also be a weak bite. It's another cold day with a high only around 19 degrees. The pressure will be high and the fish will still be readjusting from the frontal passage. It will be a grind. Downsize your baits and work them painfully slow in the deepest water you can find. Finally, Sunday, the 8th of February, the bite should improve slightly to fair. See temperatures begin to rebound into the mid-20s. This warming trend, even though it's slight, will start to get the fish moving again. The bite won't be on fire, but it will be a significant improvement over the previous 2 days as the conditions start to stabilize once more. And that's a wrap for this week's forecast, my friends. It's going to be a roller coaster, but that's what makes fishing so exciting. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope these tips help you get on some absolute giants this week. Now get out there, be safe, and as always, tight lines. I wish you nothing but the best of luck. And of course, ni kvosta, ni cheshwi, not a tail, not a scale. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, do me a huge favor and hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on next week's forecast. What are your fishing plans for the weekend? Are you seeing similar conditions in your area? Drop a comment below. I love hearing from you all and reading about your experiences. Let's share our knowledge and help each other out. See you next time.